And we're back for the fourth and final division. So we got Bobby D, we got Tony Z, and we got Dave Smith, the man, the myth, the legend.
That's me.
So who I don't really remember. Have you made the playoffs last year, right? But you got bounced in the first round? Or did you make it through one? I don't remember. You haven't
I
been in
can't
the
recall.
championship hunt in a while
It's
from
been a
from what
bit.
I so
We've been on
looking
a
to
dry
turn
spell.
things around. Yep. So all right, so let me jump into this division right away. So we'll start with Bobby D, who has the best quarterback, Patty Mahomes. The guy is a stud. He stupidly got engaged after he got a Super Bowl ring. Way to think that one through, buddy. I can't think of a person who should not be engaged more than that guy. So call Jeter next time, man. Get a clue.
Give him a gift basket and get him the fuck out.
And, I'm sure she's a fine girl, but, I think he's been with her since high school. Like, bro, like, what are you thinking, man?
Half. She's going to get half. Half.
So, I mean, just give her, like, stroke her a check for a quarter and move on.
Well, he's going to be writing her a check in a few years, I got a feeling. A big one.
So, and I was watching the Super Bowl on my side TV. Mahomes is a total and complete stud. Like I haven't seen in a while, just from a pure talent standpoint. And he obviously puts up buku numbers too. So Bobby D looking strong, but Tony Z looking strong as well with Deshaun Watson. So I'd say Mahomes is in a class by himself, but I would say Watson leads the second class, the second tier, if you will. So strong quarterback play, and he just got a boatload of money too. And that guy is also wired differently. I think he's out to prove something this year. But how far can that team take him? He lost his best receiver. I guess we'll see. But definitely a guy who's going to put up at least what he did last year. So. And then for your boy Smitty, not a huge fan, but if I had one quarterback sleeper going into this year, it would have been Matt Stafford. So he's not ranked high, but you're going to at least get the big cat stamp of approval because I think that guy's out to prove something this year. And I think he's going to put up big numbers. That's just my opinion. Obviously not very highly ranked, but apropos to talk about Aaron Rodgers as well in his division. I forget exactly what it was, but they won like 6 games last year by 3 points or less in the fourth quarter, something like that. I just don't think that's going to happen this year. I think they're going to lose those games more than they win. And I think Rodgers he's battling father time, and I think he's going to lose this year. I've had him in another dynasty league for a long time, and I've kind of watched the decline over the last 3 years. But between the two of them, I think you can piece together quality starts, and that's what it's all about. So kind of like streaming tight ends, I'm also a fan of waiting on quarterbacks. So while Smitty is third in this division on the quarterback list, I don't hate where he's at. So pretty strong start there with the quarterbacks. Smitty, why don't you talk about the running backs?
Sure. So going in on running backs, we'll start with Tony and the Baker Brownies. So he's got Joe Mixon. Great. Good, nice player. All right, I'll take Joe Mixon. He's a top 12 guy.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's kind of a cliff. Devin Singletary. I think Zach Moss is going to be the main running back there. I think Devin Singletary is going to slide into a secondary pass catching role relatively quickly. He's got a little bit of fumble problems. He doesn't get the goal line carries because Josh Allen takes them. And Zach Moss is a big dude, a banger. He can run. He's fast. I just think he's a little more thoroughbred than Singletary. So Philip Lindsay is going to be second fiddle to Melvin Gordon out in Denver. I think he'll still get decent work, but he's just not going to be a top guy. Duke Johnson, another second fiddle. And then he's got the Carlos Hyde, DJ Dallas and Seattle combo. 2 guys backing up my number 2 running back, Chris Carson. It's going to take an injury for either one of those guys to be relevant. So not a great running back room there over for Baker's Brownies. For
what
Kamala,
kind of name is DJ? Deejay?
I always assumed like
Sorry to
DJ.
stop you in your tracks. I've
Yeah,
never even seen anything like that.
I had to write it DJ, just the two letters, so I didn't
Yeah.
screw it up. But I don't get it because like DJ is usually like David Jr. or
Right.
David Johnson or something.
hmm
Like it's not DEE, but then there's CD Lamb, CEEDEE.
It's crazy.
Fuck is it with these people? Um, so what happens when you let millennials name their kids? Or I guess they're like Gen Yers. Those kids' parents are probably like our age. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
hmm
Um, Note, I did not name either one of my kids CD or DJ or any kind of letter situation.
Probably smart.
Okay, going back. Yeah, well, thank you. So Kamala, the Miles Sanders Boston Scott combo. I love Sanders this year. I'm in. I'm in on Miles Sanders. So love that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, first pick over the draft. Yeah, I mean, what's not to love? It'll be interesting to see that role. I could see him like kind of moving into an almost all the time starter after a few weeks, but I think it might be a little bit more timeshare at the beginning. But I mean, it's hard to argue with that. Andy Reid makes running back stars. He's going to be the primary guy there. There you go. He's got Kareem Hunt, who I think is spot startable. Again, I think it's going to take a Chubb injury for him to really, really have a big role. But he's going to do like some of that third down work. But like Nick Chubb can run, he can block, he can catch. Like he's a fucking stud. So Kareem Hunt is a better handcuff than a standalone in my assessment. And then Latavius Murray, definitely a handcuff, but he doesn't have Kamara. So. And then you get over to my running backs, who probably the strongest part of my team. I got the Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison combo there. Cook is a stud. When he plays, he gets touches, he gets catches. He can run. He's awesome. But the good thing is that even if he goes down hurt, Madison steps right into that role, and we saw last year he can kind of replicate it, which is wild. So that's great security for me. I got Chris Carson. He's going to be the guy as long as he stays on the field in Seattle. Seattle likes to run the ball. They pass it too, but Carson has a role there and a significant one. Mark Ingram, would have loved to have J.K. Dobbins to go along with him, but he's going to be the guy, at least in the beginning. I could see him losing touches throughout this season to Dobbins, maybe even Gus Edwards or whatever, but I think he's going to have a role in that offense, although it's going to be diminished, especially if Dobbins really starts to show out. And then Matt Breida, trash. He's trash. But, somebody's going to be working third downs in Miami. Somebody's going to have that role, and it's going to be Matt Breida. And like we saw Breida in San Francisco, he's a player that can do stuff with touches. It just makes me gag to have a Miami running back on my team. So anyway, the way I see running backs, I got mine are the strongest in the division, followed up by Kamala. And then I see Baker's Brownies as having some running back issues. We'll let the big cat talk wide receivers.
All right. Yeah, interesting to note, Chris Carson, that's who I was hoping was going to fall to me in the first round. It didn't happen, and I jacked all that up thanks to Matty G's post-draft analysis. So that's who I was hoping I would get, so I'm a fan. Yeah. So let's start with your wide receivers. So we got Julio Jones, who's going to be a stud, let's be honest. I just worry about him. I think he's 31. When does, the injury-riddled season happen? We just saw it with A.J. Green last year, who is a similar age, I believe.
I think who's also the same draft.
Yeah. They were, yeah. I wanted Julio Jones real bad, and I forgot who the Browns took that year, but I'm sure it was a disaster.
Was it Johnny Manziel?
No, that was it was the Mark Sanchez trade down year. So I think the Browns traded down like 3 times or something ridiculous.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
It did not. Yeah. So
I
actually read the Browns only have 3 players on their team from the 2018 draft. Like it happens every single year. It's like, how can you be that bad? I could do better with my laptop and Twitter. Like, no joke.
Yeah, well, it was not exactly a professionally run team last year, in my
No,
assessment.
no.
So we'll see.
So, all right. So, Smitty's wide receivers. So, Julio Jones on the field. I love him. Cortland Sutton is a stud of an athlete. I really, really like that guy as a receiver. Obviously, Denver is his limiting capability, but I always try to lean to guys who are just really good football players, as opposed to just getting opportunities. So I love that guy as well. Emmanuel Sanders, to be honest with you, I don't know much about him. I kind of wrote him off 2 years ago, but he did play well towards the end of last year. So a nice guy to have on your bench. With AJ Green, I just saw a blurb yesterday. AJ Green is starting, so if AJ Green's on the field, you got to pay attention. And then DJ Chark, who seems to be pretty talented, but Jacksonville is just a dumpster fire. So I had that guy on a team last year. Well, I think he's got some potential. He's kind of inconsistent with the week-to-week starts, so he could be a great flex play and get you 20 points, or he could score 1. So, but overall, really solid wide receivers there. Let's move over to Tony, who's got Devontae Adams, who seems to be the consensus number 2 wide receiver this year. I don't have him that high. I've had him on some teams for injury-riddled seasons, so kind of have a bad taste in my mouth. But that's another guy who is going to be Aaron Rodgers' safety blanket, and if he's playing, he's going to get double-digit targets every week. So Brandon Cooks on Houston is an interesting play, quite honestly. There's like 4 receivers all, and no one knows which one's going to be the starting 2. So nice guy to see how it shakes out. Crowder actually puts up some good numbers, so he can be a good bye-week start. I like him too. Slayton, I'm not a huge fan of, but maybe he can take a step forward this year. Then obviously Mike Evans. Mike Evans seems like a Tom Brady receiver. I think Mike Evans is going to do better than the guy I got on my team. So that's a pretty solid starting group there with 2 studs, and then definitely some flexibility. Bobby D kept DK Metcalf, who is a freak of nature, and everyone said he couldn't run routes last year, and it didn't seem to matter. You can just throw it up to that guy. He's a complete and total stud. CeeDee Lamb is a great pick, in my opinion. I think he's going to have a role immediately, which you don't usually see with rookies, but just a very talented football player. Same with Calvin Ridley, especially if there's a Julio Jones injury, which you might see for a couple weeks. He's going to be awesome. My screensaver keeps going off, so we'll see how fast I can enter my password and type as well. I spelled stone cold wrong. All right, Robert Woods, kind of had a precipitous decline, as I think he was ranked in the top 10 last year. Not great, but not a bad guy. Preston Williams is a guy you're going to have to wait on. Sterling Shepard for the Giants, that could be a mess. But he's got really good young talent on that squad. And we already did Smitty. So, I'm going to give a lean. I'm going to have to give a lean to Smitty. If his guys are all on the field, he's got at least 4 starters. And if Emmanuel Sanders finds a role in New Orleans, which is an unknown, it could be 5. So that's really solid. Not to knock the other 2 guys, because I think, you always want elite players, and Tony's got elite players. He's got 2 elite wide receivers. And Bobby D, he's got so many good players in other areas. He's got a pretty good young core. So give the edge to Smitty there. And then let's head to tight ends.
All right. So tight end, pretty tight. I mean, I feel like everybody has like decent tight ends. The third best in the division, I have Kamala, Bobby D with Austin Hooper and Mike Gesicki. I just I don't know how Hooper's going to be used in the Cleveland offense. David Njoku stinks. That's well documented. But you know, Baker's used to throwing the ball to Odell Beckham, to Chubb, to Hunt, to Jarvis Landry. Is there going to be tight end work? I don't know. I'm hopeful. I have him in another league. I think that Hooper has potential to do very well, but you never know. Next, I have myself with Evan Ingram, who I like, but again, I feel like the ball gets spread around a lot. And I feel like that year that Ingram did really well, it was when Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard were both hurt. So he was the only show in town. Rolling into a fresh offense with Saquon Barkley healthy and everybody else healthy, is he going to be the focal point? I think possibly. I think he is maybe the second best pass catcher on the team. But who knows? And Tyler Eifert, the Jags just announced that James O'Shaughnessy took the starting role. So look for him on your friendly local waiver wire soon. He's a Notre Dame guy. I just wanted to take him. Why not? So best tight end, I got Tony. I got the Baker's Brownies. I think Hayden Hurst. I look at the tight end in Atlanta as a position, not a person. So what Austin Hooper did last year, I think Hayden Hurst is capable of doing this year. Same offense, same quarterback, same coordinators, same setup. So I think Hurst is going to have a nice role in that offense, and he's going to be able to flourish. Irv Smith up in Minnesota is a speculative pick at this point, but I think Hurst are starting every week, so you can afford to take a shot and see how that tight end situation in Minnesota works out. So I have Tony with the best, me with the second best, and Bobby with the third best there. And then we'll flip it over to the big cat to cover D-line and D-backfield.
Yeah, that was some good analysis on Hurst there. That's a great pick by Tony. I agree with that one. So defensive line, Carlos Dunlop for Tony is probably – well, it's pretty close. I'll call him 1A. That's a good pick. I will call 1B. I'll go to Smitty on that one for Cam Haywood, who just got a bunch more money and just produces. So that above 200 points in a season for a D lineman is good. Chris Jones is a good football player on Bobby's squad here, but probably not one of the better defensive linemen out there. So, I'll put him a distant third. And for defensive backs, Tony is definitely number one as well. I really like Landon Collins. I've been on him for a while. My boy Poyer for Smitty on Buffalo safety just puts up numbers every single year. So I really like him as well. But Justin Simmons for Bobby D, that's a pretty good player as well. So I'll go Tony, then Smitty, then Bobby D for defensive backs. But those two position groups, pretty solid generally for this division.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about linebacker, honestly. I think all three of us have good, solid starting linebackers. I have Jordan Hicks out of Arizona. He's a guy that's all over the field, going to make tackles, plays third down. So should be a tackle machine for me. Dave Free has Corey Littleton and Devin White. So a great duo there to choose from. Lots expected out of Devin White down in Tampa Bay this year. Very good football player. But I'll give the nod here in the division to Bobby with Devin Bush, and that's not just me being a homer. He's going to be the guy. He's going to play all three downs in Pittsburgh. He can turn the ball over. He can, they'll send him in to rush every now and again. So, he's going to get his tackles, but I think he has potential for big plays, which are big point opportunities for linebackers. So, he's not up there like Darius Leonard or anything like that, but, Devin Bush is a top 5 or 6 linebacker this year. I can definitely see. So I'll give the nod to Bobby D in the linebacker class for this division. So that wraps up all the positions. And Big Cat, why don't you share with us how you think this division is going to shake out?
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. So, real quick on Devin Bush. Yeah, he's probably, if this were a dynasty or a keeper, he'd probably be in the top 5 of defensive players as far as keepers go. So that's a great pick by Bobby, even though it's probably a bit of a homer pick for him. So that's a good pick, and that guy's a complete stud.
Yeah.
This division is going to be tight. I'm going to have to put Smitty number 1, unfortunately, because his starting lineup just seems the most consistent to me. He's got, like I said, he's going to have a quarterback by committee, which is personally my favorite way to go. I'm high on Matt Stafford. That's a bold prediction, as they say, and I could be wrong. But I really like him. He's got a really strong running back class. He's got at least 3 starters there to start the season, and his wide receivers are good too. If Ingram can come through, I think that's really his only weak position. But if he plays and he stays on the field, he's going to be a top 10 tight end, no question, probably top 5 upside. So just based on balance, I'll go with Smitty 1. But then as far as playmakers go, like Bobby D could be the top team in the whole league, quite honestly, if things break his way. If Hooper gets a role in Cleveland, which I agree is a question mark, and his young wide receivers play, I mean, he's going to have some serious firepower with Mahomes every week. He's got solid D. So it's real close. Tony has a really good team as well. I think he's set up on defense for sure. He's got some studs in his lineup as well with Watson, Adams, and Evans. I'm just concerned about his depth a little at this point. And let's face it, all of these teams aren't going to look anywhere close to where they are now come playoff time. So lots of moves to be made. Everyone just needs their studs to stay on the field. That's really what it comes down to. So I would say I'll put Tony 3rd, but a close 3rd. So I'll call it Smitty by a nose, then Bobby D, and then Tony. But like I said, couple waiver wire hits for Tony, and he could be a top team as well.
Yeah, that's actually the exact same way that I see it too. I think it's close though. I think between the division that you're in and the division that I'm in, we probably have 6 out of the top 8 teams, which means it's going to be a bloodbath. That could be a situation where somebody in those first 2 divisions, they might rack up 10 wins, and our division winner might have 8. Just because it's a beat down every week, and we got to play each other. I got to play Bobby and Tony 4 times, and you got to play Joe and Glenn, who that sounds ridiculous to say, but their teams are actually pretty good as we sit right now. So I think it's good. That's the way I see it too. But to your point, like everything looks this way today, but when the ball kicks off on Thursday night, everything changes. So that's it. So that's the final breakdown, right? So I think the last thing that you guys can expect from us will be a week 1 preview. Hopefully we can get that out on Wednesday or Thursday to make it a little more fun if you guys want to set your starting lineups as soon as possible so that we can kind of rattle off some games and some predictions. That's something that we might look into doing. But if you're watching at this point, God bless you. You made it. So that's it.
Yep. So thanks for watching. I did mention IDP keepers for a reason. So just to reiterate, there will not be any IDP keepers for this year. So you're not keeping any defensive players. But for next season, we probably will do it. So just kind of a heads up for planning there. And waiver wires process on Thursday mornings now. So make sure to get those bids in as well.
There you go.
So with that, we'll do the week 1 preview in a couple days, and we're going to get real football here for at least 1 week. So that's pretty awesome.
Fuck yeah, it's happening.
I need it real bad.
It's happening. Did you watch that dog shit Navy game last night?
I actually did not.
I turned it on and turned it off when Mike was texting with us. I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
So, all right, boys.
All right. Peace.
Love you.